Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Let's get it. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Monday, August the 8th. 2022. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G. And for that, we appreciate you being here. Shout out to our partners, Prize Picks at the bottom, NFL futures, college football futures, all of that good stuff here on this fine Monday. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And no more we got football. No more Sundays or Saturdays without football until February. I think we all know that the NFL and college football season are like back. We got real NFL preseason this week, so we'll talk about a little bit of that come Wednesday. We got a really dope newsletter. If you're tapping in for the first time, appreciate you being here. Make sure you subscribe to the All Gas newsletter in the bottom. It's free. I promise you it's not some BS, recycled, regurgitated garbage, just like full-fledged articles. They should actually be articles. The content creators over here at DD, super dope. Make sure you subscribe to the free All Gas newsletter. But how was everybody's weekend? Who do we have in the building this morning? It's good to see the people. Good morning, Michael, Roe, Jay Peters in the building, Shane, Joe. You know, I listened to a lot of satellite radio on the weekends, and callers call in, and I wish we had something where like people could call in and talk to us, but I like engaging with the people in the chat, so got to say good morning to everybody there. Dynasty Barry, how you doing? Heath, haven't seen the name Heath in here in a minute. Dalton in the building, Patrick in the building, Roe. Oh, look at that. TK, Troy, I look forward to seeing you this weekend at the Expo, big dog. Glad everybody is joined in today, and we got a lot to talk about, but we got to get my man on the scene. Jay Rich, what's up, baby?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
How
Happy
you
to
doing?
be here. Excited.
Yeah.
Had a good weekend. You know, we're chilling. Lots of things happening this week. Obviously, preseason kicking off, which is good. We're excited for that. A little bit of beef in the basketball world over the weekend. Yeah, remember? A little bit of beef in the basketball world. Not really news, but exciting to see Paolo Banchero get his ass handed to him by DeJounte Murray. But honestly, man, I think the biggest thing is that I'm just excited for football now. We got preseason week 1, which is dope. We'll see a lot of players. Not a lot of news, though. I think, you know, it's been crazy with what happened.
Somebody's got in the wrong YouTube account. Who's coming in here to get on us early? Who's coming to troll early? Who's coming to troll?
In with the burner.
Yeah, the burner. Go ahead. My bad.
I was going to say, I don't think you want to open the phone lines because it's just, you're opening up Pandora's box then. You know our audience. And you know what we do.
Yes.
I don't know, man.
We don't want to
go there just yet, but maybe one day.
Mike Anderson looking for that NBA news early. There's not a lot, Mike. Don't worry. Come October, we got you covered, baby, with plenty of NBA news. But we'll get to that when we get to that, Mike. Hey, I know you are dying for NBA news, but we don't have anything yet. Kevin Durant is still a Brooklyn Net. Kyrie's still in that. LeBron is still doing stuff in LA. No NBA news yet, Mike A, but it's coming. It's coming. Don't worry. Yeah, damn it. You better wait. All right, Jay. Oh, look at this. We were talking about this before the show.
Yeah,
Premier League. Is it Primer or Premier?
It's the Premier League?
You kept calling it Primer. Primer.
No, it's the Premier League. That's what it is.
We're 6 minutes in, and we have talked no football. People are going to be just livid in the comments. But Jay, we got to get some news, man. We got to get some news because in this show, I really do. I want to talk about the most. We've got like we said top 10. It might be like 15, but I want to talk impactful rookies. And I'm going to reiterate this again after the news. We're not saying these are the dynasty rookie wide receiver 1 or running back 1 or quarterback 1, any of this stuff. We're just talking which rookies based on what we've seen early in training camp, the reports that we're getting from the beat reporters, which one of these rookies are going to be impactful this year? And how do we exploit that, especially in the game of dynasty, right? We're always looking for edge. We're always looking for, the players that could boom, that cost you nothing, and you can flip and get a return of value. So we're going to talk about the most impactful rookies based on the information that we have now throughout training camp. But before that, y'all know what it is. It is straight facts. Jay, let's get it, baby.
What's going on, everybody? It's Straight Facts with Jay Rich, and it was a light news weekend. Like we talked about at the opening of the show, the Premier League did start, so shout out to all the Premier League fans out there. I don't watch it enough to talk about it, but I hope you guys are excited because I am probably going to get more into it this season. But back to the real news, or sort of news for at least 5 minutes, as Fizzledal is spoiled in the chat. Kareem Hunt reportedly requested a trade out of Cleveland over the weekend. The Browns said no, and he was back to practice on Sunday. So that story lasted about all of 5 minutes. Short-lived for a guy who really has no leverage in the situation, but Kareem Hunt did what he tried to do. He tried to say, I want out, and it didn't work for him because they have a much better running back in Nick Chubb and a very competent backup in Dearness Johnson. So we'll see what happens with Kareem Hunt, but he's going to have to play his way into a new contract. He's not going to be able to demand anything because he just doesn't have that kind of leverage. And then another story that broke yesterday was that J.K. Dobbins is going to be getting his knee looked at today, and there is potential for him to come off the PUP if the doctors do deem that he is ready to get into full practice and things like that. So we may get some J.K. Dobbins news. I know there's a lot of J.K. Dobbins stands out there that are hoping to see him get off the PUP. Obviously, it's only week 1 of preseason. No immediate rush to get him into action, but if he does come off the PUP, that would be really, really nice for him and for fantasy owners who've been investing in him over the offseason and even beyond that earlier in his career. And then as well, Christian Watson returned to practice, and he's on the side field right now working with the rehab group. So that is encouraging. There was no timetable. We don't even know what Christian Watson's injury was, but we do know that he's back on the rehab with the rehab group at practice. So hopefully see him back week 3, maybe just before the season starts, hopefully getting on the field a little bit. Not good for his prospects and outlook this season, but potentially going to get involved earlier than I thought because there was no reports on him there. And Ray, another story that I'm not sure this is true fully, but it was reported and confirmed that N'Keal Harry, the new Bears wide receiver, severely sprained his ankle. Yeah. We don't know the actual severity, the grade of the sprain yet, but it seems like it's going to be a grade 2 or grade 3 sprain that could keep him out quite a while. And like you mentioned, Byron Pringle also injured. And so that may open things up for Velus Jones. But the other story that I don't know if I believe it is that apparently the Eagles are potentially looking to trade Jalen Reagor, the former first-round pick, to the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears are doing their best to stockpile first-round flameouts in hoping it can pan out. But Ray, is this actually true? Because you kind of snuck this in the show notes, and I don't know if it's true. Listen. But you as the Jalen Reagor expert could definitely comment this more than anybody else. So I will allow you to go through this story and let me know if it's actually true or if you try to sneak it in there to see if I was paying attention this weekend.
This guy calls me the Jalen Reagor expert. I'm not an expert. I'm no expert on Jalen Reagor. I liked him coming out of TCU.
Okay, no, I want to confirm thing. I want to confirm something for the people.
Every other analyst out there. It wasn't just me, damn it.
Have you had direct communication via the DMs with Jalen Reagor? True or false?
Yes, true.
Okay, so you're the closest thing to an expert that we got.
I've had direct conversations with a lot of people anyways. Listen, we are just messengers, right? In the notes, what I said was pray for Justin Fields. I'm concerned. I am concerned.
And people call me a hater, and you on this show have called me a hater because I am concerned for him for fantasy and for his outlook because it doesn't look good. And now it seems like you're kind of coming around to my point.
You talk bad about Fields regardless, man. Like, stop. I don't. You talk bad about Fields regardless. Before this happened, apparently they're exploring options, right? Jalen Reagor is probably first ballot Hall of Fame training camp. I mean, every training camp is good. Like, I mean, last year, ridiculous catches in the end zone. Then we get to the game, and it's alligator arms. It's clanking off his hands. Apparently, he looks good this training camp. He looks good, but I don't know. It's scary because, I mean, Tevin Jenkins, their, I believe, second-round offensive tackle pick from Oklahoma State last year is reportedly on the trade block. It's like the new coach and GM came into Chicago, and they're like, let's get everything out of here. And you're right, N'Keal Harry, potentially bringing in Jalen Reagor, Byron Pringle is hurt. It doesn't look good for the Bears, man. Offensively, I'm concerned for my boy Justin Fields quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that's a great segue into these rookies, Jay. And we want to talk about which one of these rookies are going to be impactful this year. So if you're joining in here a little bit late, 12 minutes in, these are not rankings. These are not who quarterback won, who wide receiver. These aren't rankings. Just which of these rookies are going to make impacts this year for your favorite NFL team, for your dynasty roster. And there's a lot of them, man. It's crazy because it's the position that historically you could replace super easy, especially in fantasy. Wide receiver, man. You don't draft wide receivers early. You can find those guys late unless you're going to get, Jefferson, Chase, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, one of the difference makers, right? The high warp type wide receivers. If you want to rock one of those, that's fine. But you could just find those guys so much later in drafts. I don't care if it's, dynasty, keeper league, whatever. Devy, you could just find wide receivers. But those are a lot of the players who have been making impacts early this season, Jay. So what we're going to do, how we're going to do this is I'm going to say some names. I'm going to lay out a case, and you are going to build a top 10 list with the people and let me know. And I see a lot of people talking about Isaiah Pacheco. I'm hearing it, right? Like I'm mildly interested in Isaiah Pacheco, mildly interested, but I don't think we're going to talk about him too much today. He's somebody that should be rostered. If he's on waivers, absolutely go pick him up. I'm still not there with him being the RB1 or any of that. I mean,
no,
that's just me. That has nothing to do with what I think he could do. I'm not there to coordinate him to that level just yet. Not yet. But there are some rookies right now who are doing their damn thing. And let's get the usual suspects out of the way, Jay, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about Breece Hall. I don't want to talk about Drake London. I don't want to talk about Treylon Burks. Like those guys. And let me ask you something really quick, Jay, and this was not in the show notes. I've heard positive reviews, and maybe I'm just missing it, right? So this is not me trying to stir the pot here. Maybe I legitimately missed it. I've heard positive buzz from every rookie wide receiver just about from this class, absent Garrett Wilson. I'm missing the Garrett Wilson hype. Have I just missed it? Have I overlooked it? What have you heard about Garrett Wilson in New York? I'm just asking.
I think that there's just much more of a focus on Breece and on Sauce and on Elijah Moore and on Zach Wilson that we just haven't heard a lot about Garrett Wilson. Zach Wilson talked about him and talked about how he's been great so far in camp, how he's showing up, he's working hard. But at the end of the day, he talks so much more about Elijah Moore. He's talking about how Elijah Moore in his second year is looking great, how he knows the playbook so well, how he could be the top wide receiver. And I think that puts a big damper on what people expected out of Garrett Wilson. A lot of people are drafting him hoping he could be the one and Elijah Moore would be the two. But early in camp, it's not looking like that's going to be the case. So I think that's the biggest issue, right? Is that situation that people were hoping where he can maybe be the one. We know Burks is probably going to be the one. We know that Drake London's probably going to be the one, at least at wide receiver. And people were hoping that Garrett Wilson could be that guy as well. But it's not looking like that's going to be the case. It's looking like it's going to be Elijah Moore, and that's the biggest issue, I think. But, hopefully we see some reports. I think preseason we'll see a lot of Garrett Wilson highlights, I'm sure. And part of it, too, is the offense, right? We're expecting it to be better, but it may not be. And I think that's somewhat reasonable to expect as well. So as much as I love Wilson, you're right. I haven't seen a lot about him. Haven't seen beat reporters talking about him. Right. And it just seems like a repeat of last season where it's just all Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson all off season long on a Jets camp. And I think that's all we're going to continue to see.
And I'm not worried about him long term, right? We're just talking about, the guys that have had this hype and we're seeing make these plays. My issue with Wilson is I just don't believe the Jets offense is built to sustain all these weapons. Like I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm not the Zach Wilson stan. If you came here for Zach Wilson love, you're in the wrong place. I think he's okay. I don't think he's good enough for Elijah Moore. People are talking about Elijah Moore being a top 12. If Elijah Moore is a top 12 receiver, there's no way Garrett Wilson is doing any. Like, there's no way, right? Like, and I'm not. Again, this is not Garrett Wilson is bad. He's what was he my wide receiver 2, 3 in the class? He's my wide receiver 3.
At least 3.
Wide receiver 3 behind Burks and London. I just do not believe the Jets offense is capable of sustaining all of these players that people are excited about. People are talking about Tyler Conklin as a sleeper. They brought in CJ Uzoma, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. Michael Carter's not going away, and he's going to get third down passing work. Breece Hall. I do not believe Zach Wilson is capable of sustaining that many fantasy relevant players. It's going to be one of Elijah Moore and or Garrett Wilson. Like that, actually, you're going to want to start with confidence, right? You're not starting both of those guys. But, okay, so the usual suspects, Breece Hall, Drake London, Treylon Burks, not talking about any of those guys. I'm going to start out, Jay, because he's getting there's a lot of people talking about this offense in the news in general, and it's the Dallas Cowboys news. The Dallas Cowboys news, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard. We know that the run game has suffered for a little bit in Dallas ever since Travis Frederick retired, some medical issues. They tried to replace him with Tyler Biadasz. Left guard has been utilized by Connor Williams, who wasn't very good, who's in Miami now. Right tackle was La'el Collins. The Dallas Cowboys had built their offensive front with linemen. They want to run the ball. They've got a healthy Zeke Elliott, and they've got an explosive Tony Pollard. So one of the most impactful rookies that I believe that we will see on the field this 2022 season is somebody that isn't going to directly score you fantasy points, but will help you get fantasy points, because I do believe he's an upgrade over Connor Williams at left guard. And I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys first-round pick, Tyler Smith, number 73 right there. You see him on the screen clearing ways for Ezekiel Elliott. He's been out there pancaking defensive linemen in training camp for Dallas early this training camp. You see on this clip right here, this is a scary sight. Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith pulling on counter plays for one Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. I think this is a massive improvement for Dallas to get. He's still a work in progress, but he's young, he's athletic, he's powerful. This is going to help the Dallas Cowboys offense out tremendously, because Connor Williams he didn't have the backside to hold up and hunker down. And I don't know, Jay, if you saw the practice clip of Jordan Davis absolutely bull rushing the Eagles offensive line. Like, this is going to be a problem for Dallas and for offensive lines in the NFC East for the next, I don't know how many years, but I think Tyler Smith going to Dallas is going to be very good news for Zeke and Tony Pollard. And for everybody out there that thinks Tony Pollard should be the starter, maybe he should. As long as Zeke is under contract, Ezekiel Elliott is going to get the ball. Do not overthink it. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. As long as Zeke is healthy, he is going to get every shred of work that he can handle. Tyler Smith helps out. Zeke helps out. Dak helps out Tony Pollard, and in turn helps out the Dallas Cowboys offensive as a whole.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think they're going to need it this season. A lot of people are expecting a lot of big things out of Dallas, but I think we need to realize that their offense may not be as potent as it's been in years past. They really only have one established wide receiver. Over the past couple of years, they've had 2, even 3 guys that they can really depend on. Obviously, the backs of the backfield have been there for a while, but it's really been that offensive line that's been plaguing them. Whether it's the Dak injury to the ankle and then him coming back and being hesitant, they still need to protect him, right? And while they're saying that Dak's fully recovered, they still need to make sure that offensive line is formidable. That's what they've built their team on for like the past 5 to 6 years at least. I think they're going to continue to do that. And so for me, I think this is a great selection, right? People aren't going to talk about it that much, but really, offensive linemen should be at the very top of this list, because whether it's Trevor Penning or Cole Strange in New England and Tyler Smith in Dallas, all of these guys are going to have a much larger impact than realistically most fantasy players. So if you really wanted to put him up there right behind Burks and London, I don't hate it at all, because he's going to have a massive impact if he's great for this Dallas Cowboys offense.
Man, here's the thing, Jay. He doesn't even have to be great. Connor Williams was not good, man. He was not good at all. As long as Tyler Smith could just use some power, clear some lanes for the running backs and give Dak just a little bit of time to throw the ball, he's going to be one of the most impactful rookies in 2022. Now let's go to fantasy players that you can actually put in your lineup. I do not believe you can go draft Tyler Smith and start Tyler Smith, but you can draft one Skyy Moore and start Skyy Moore right away. And we talked about him a little bit last week, Jay, and then every day he does something different. He's lined up in the backfield. Yeah. He's running reverses. He's going downfield. You see him right here. This is, look, that's not Pacheco right there. That's Jerick McKinnon motioning across the field. Skyy Moore in the backfield. and they give him a little counter to the other side. You see him running the ball, catching the ball downfield. Skyy Moore, a player that we talked about, Jay, as being somebody who probably wasn't a this year guy, more of a next year guy. He's 100% going to be a this year guy. Reports are MVS is dropping passes left and right. We know what Juju can do when he's on the field. But, man, I'm really excited and bullish about just what Skyy Moore can bring to the table from day one from the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, another wide receiver, Jay, before we talk Skyy Moore, is our boy, Antoine Pierce, out here from the Indianapolis Colts, just destroying defensive backs, apparently. Yeah. And they are saying that they are lining Stephon Gilmore up on him in team situations every time. Not Michael Pittman, but they've got Stephon Gilmore on Antoine Pierce. And you see him right here, red zone drills. He's got the size to go over the top. And the final clip you'll see was an incomplete pass, but there he is versus Gilmore. He had a step on Gilmore. Bad ball by Matt Ryan. That arm is a little sore, but I'm really liking what I'm hearing out of camp from Alec Pierce, man. I think right now he's pegged to start in 3 wide receiver sets alongside Pittman and Paris Campbell. Where are you at with Skyy Moore? Where are you at with Alec Pierce, who, when we're talking about these rookie wideouts, all the hype, George Pickens, Drake London, I don't really hear a lot of people getting excited about Antoine Pierce. And, I want to know your thoughts on these 2 wide receivers and what impact they could have this fall.
I think I'd put them very close together. The main reason why is because as much as hype as Skyy is getting, he's still listed as the backup to Juju Smith-Schuster right now, with MVS starting on the outside, right? And then Mecole Hardman is another guy who no one's talking about, but is probably going to be the starting wide receiver for Kansas City. So again, it's not that this is final, right? But what we're seeing right now and kind of the depth charts that are forming, it seems like that's the consensus, is that if something was to happen to Juju Smith-Schuster, Skyy is the limit, no pun intended, for Skyy Moore. But the thing with Alec Pierce, to your point, is that he is starting outside opposite of Michael Pittman, which is a big deal. Because the biggest thing is we're talking about impact, right? In order to make an impact, you have to get on the field. And if you're not on the field, then you're not going to make an impact. And I think there's a couple players that people aren't realizing, like Alec Pierce, who will be on the field potentially from day one and getting reps and getting snaps. And that, whether it's, a lot of fancy production or a little bit, he may have a much larger impact on the season than people are expecting, because he is a starting wide receiver. Now, this is going to be a low volume offense, and we don't expect to throw the ball more than 550 times this season. But if you're a starting wide receiver on an NFL team, you're probably going to see upwards of 70 to 80 targets. And as a rookie, that would be great for Antoine Pierce. So for me, it comes down to is, where does this ultimately shake out for the 2 of them? I love Skyy Moore, but I would, and if we're talking about impact for this season, there is a real chance that Alec Pierce does more than Skyy Moore, simply because he's going to be getting on the field. But again, it comes down to Kansas City, that offense, and obviously the teams they're playing against. I think Skyy Moore will be great, but I think he's not going to see a massive touch load or touch share, especially at the beginning of the season. But we'll see obviously how it ultimately shakes out. And I love the talent, but I'm curious to see how they ultimately play this, because it's not looking like he's going to be a starter out the gate. And so he'll have to earn that. Or, we'll see how they ultimately use him throughout the season. Because if you remember, Tyreek Hill was a guy super talented, but didn't play a lot in his first year and ultimately became what he is now. I think we could see a similar role for Skyy Moore in his rookie season.
All right, you want to go with some low-hanging fruit here, right now, he's leading his team in receptions. He's leading his team in yards in training camp. And it looks like one of the players that we kind of talked about a couple of years ago is probably on his way out the door. I'm talking about Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm talking about George Pickens. And Jay, the moment I saw this, I knew. And here's the thing. OGQ's been over George Pickens since 2019, his freshman season at Georgia. But when I saw this, man, I knew we had a damn dog on our hands. Well, this is draft night. George Pickens watching himself. Look at him just standing there. Just socks, T-shirt, Nike Scully over his head in the house. When I saw this, I was like, this dude, this is a dog.
And he's watching Chase Claypool, which is probably the funniest part about this whole story.
He's watching Claypool, the guy whose position he's gonna take. But George Pickens, man, my goodness, what is there to say about how good he's been this season? Now the issue is, I have no clue who's going to throw him the ball. I have no damn clue. But he's going to be a starting wide receiver for Pittsburgh. Chase Claypool probably on his way out the door. George Pickens' impact this fall, it's the ceiling is not the roof, like Michael Jordan said. It's Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph. That's the problem. Like, he's going to be impactful. He's going to draw coverage. He's going to get his opportunities. He's going to get his shots. But are they going to be efficient? How's that going to look with Deontay Johnson? I like George Pickens, man. My issue is I'm fearful that Pittsburgh offense, just like we talked about the Jets and Zach Wilson, if Zach Wilson can't sustain, let's think about this for a minute. If Zach Wilson can't sustain Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, whatever tight ends, multiple running backs, how on earth, Jay, is Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, or Kenny Pickett going to sustain Pickens, Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, and Pat Freiermuth, and Calvin Austin? You got some people who want, how the hell is that going to happen in Pittsburgh with the bad offensive line, terrible quarterback play? How's it going to happen? How are you going to feel good about starting? Again, if you're tapping in late, this is not dynasty. We're talking about impactful rookies this year. How do those guys sustain, a passing attack full of weapons that we're drafting hella early, man?
It's not possible. I just think that's the reality of the situation. It's going to be inconsistent. It's going to be annoying. It'll be difficult to play these guys. If you're not playing Deontay Johnson every week, and obviously Najee Harris, another big guy who's going to get a ton of work. The rest of them, I don't know. George Pickens listed as the wide receiver 2 right now. Claypool in the slot. Calvin Austin, his backup in the slot. Pat Freiermuth, love him, but I don't know how much work he's going to get week to week. So again, we talk about a situation that we love from an outside talent perspective. We love the weapons, the players that are there. But, people were getting on me because I don't like the Pittsburgh offense this year. I don't know how to project it. And it's why it's difficult for me to draft these guys in a lot of ways. I think Pickens is a phenomenal talent. We talked about it on draft day. I believed that Claypool announced his replacement.
Yeah, you said
the moment that they drafted George Pickens. And it's just, again, it's the Steelers wide receiver bias, which is a real bias for me. I'm not going to take that away from anything. They have had tremendous success with wide receivers, tremendous success. And a lot of people would comp him to that Martavius Bryant role that they had until ultimately he left the team, right? So I think there's a lot of ways that he can be involved early. Again, when it comes down to impact, it's difficult because we don't know what to expect from them overall. If you were to say to me, hey, Jordan, who do you think is going to get the most targets in the league this year? I'd probably put George Pickens in the top 5 amongst all rookies. I think he could definitely get there, depending on how things shake out. But again, how valuable are those targets? What is his average at the target? Are his targets even catchable from these quarterbacks?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so that's, to me, is kind of the difficult part with George Pickens. Love the talent, but the impact this year, range of outcomes is a little bit too wide. So I'd probably have him somewhere in the 7 to 8 range because there's some guys I feel who will be a little bit more consistent this season. Even though I love the talent, it's hard to bet on him to be most impactful up in the top 5, even if I just think he deserves to be there because of the inconsistencies at quarterback.
Yeah, Robert, I hear you, man, but I don't think there's a shot in hell Kenny Pickett is the starter, at least week 1. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think there's a shot in hell he's starting week 1. Now, maybe by midseason or a couple of games in, we don't know what can happen, but I don't think we're getting early starter Kenny Pickett. Another Pierce that's been getting a lot of buzz, Jay, Houston Texans running back Dameon Pierce, running back out of Florida. Listen, I'm just scouring the news, man, and every beat reporter out of Houston is saying this dude looks like by far the best running back on the field there. Now, is he going to get that opportunity early with, old school coaches, Lovie Smith, Pep Hamilton? Yeah. I don't know. But early reports are Dameon Pierce is looking like a dude out there with his only competition being Rex Burkhead, who's, he's got a particular set of skills, and then Marlon Mack as well. But Dameon Pierce, a shot that he walks into the season as, a top back or at least the head of a committee in that backfield. Now, let's talk about Tennessee Titans wide receiver, not named Treylon Burks, but somebody who inevitably be comped to Hunter Renfrow, Wes Welker.
Can we call him White Lightning yet?
Wayne Corbett. What other short white receivers are out there? He will be comped to those guys. I don't give a damn who you comp him to. When you're getting open like this, and it's not just these 2 clips, every time I see Kyle Phillips, he's open. He's 24/7, 7-Eleven. Yep. He is open, right? Again, the Titans offense, it's going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry, man. It's going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. he's going to have an impact. I don't know if that's going to produce us fantasy points, but if you can get open from the slot this way, you're going to get targets. And right now, it seems like Kyle Phillips is earning his targets right there, even taking first-team reps. Treylon Burks, Kyle Phillips, Robert Woods. He's going to play this year, man, and he's going to get his opportunities and shots. Ceiling, I don't know, Jay. Like, I'm
Low,
trying
man.
to, I'm trying to, what happened? Did something happen?
No, I'm saying I don't think the ceiling is very high. That's
Oh,
all
you're
I'm
saying you don't think it's very high. I thought we had maybe some breaking news or something, but he's going to be impactful, but I just don't know if that's going to turn into fantasy points. We just got to temper our expectations. I'm excited as you got. We are all excited for these rookies, but I mean, every damn rookie's not going to go out there and go get you 1,000 receiving yards, man. We cannot do that. We can't do that. So where are you at with Kyle Phillips? I think he's going to be super impactful for the Tennessee Titans because he's going to be that slot receiver. He's going to have opportunities. I just don't know if that's going to turn into a ton of fantasy points for us this year.
Personally, I'd probably have him outside the top 12 at least.
Okay.
I just think that based on the offense, and I don't even think he's going to start. He's listed as the backup behind Nick Westbrook-Akine, who actually had a really good season last year. Quietly, out of all the weapons that were there, he was probably the most consistent with A.J. Brown being a little bit injured. And so I think that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about. But overall, obviously, I like the talent, I like the skill set, and I think he can do some things. But, I mean, the Titans are a team that doesn't want to throw the ball more than 500 times this year. They want to lean on Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
They know Treylon Burks will get his work, Robert Woods, and then I think Westbrook-Akine will have a role. And so how do they work in Kyle Phillips? I'm sure they'll find ways to do that, but I'm not expecting a lot. He may see his work, and if guys get injured, there could be more opportunity for him. But going into the season with everybody healthy, I'm not projecting a ton for Kyle Phillips, but he's someone worth knowing because, again, Hunter Renfrow is a guy that you watched him in college and you'd be like, yeah, he's good. He's a good receiver.
Right. You knew he was
open,
good.
Right. And regardless of how he tested, regardless of what you thought of him as an athlete, you watched him play.
Yes.
He was a 4-year starter. He was
good.
The team leader.
He wasn't a 4-year starter, but I get you.
But
Keep going.
He was the guy who you knew was good as a football player. I think you can say the same thing about Kyle Phillips.
Yes.
And we've seen what that's got for Hunter Renfrow. But what I will say, Hunter Renfrow ain't worth a first-round pick.
No.
And he may never be worth a first round pick. So the real thing that I would suggest, Ray, and I think you'd agree with this, is that when Kyle Phillips has that big game in preseason, you need to try and sell him. You need to try and sell him. Even if it's a second round pick, you need to try and sell him because again, the ceiling, especially on Tennessee, is not very high. We know that until Derrick Henry's gone, they're going to be a very heavy run-first offense. Even without Derrick Henry, I think there's still a chance that they continue to work that throughout the year. So for me, I'd be selling him, once he has a big game. But to your point, I said you could even sell him now because the hype is there. But wait a little bit because his value will go up, and I think you would probably want to sell him and see what you could get for him because it'd probably be more than you could get in future years, even if he does become a Hunter Renfrow type of guy.
Okay, another wide receiver, 2 wide receivers that are getting buzz, and there's the theme of, and let me just say this. I think this is important, Jay. If you're going to invest in rookie wide receivers or young wide receivers who are unproven, I'm trying to bet on good offenses, right? Like if I'm going to take a shot, I want an efficient quarterback. I want a good quarterback. There is correlation. You could look it up. There's data done. There is factual evidence that good quarterback, probably going to have good wide receivers. Bad, shitty quarterback, probably only going to have 1 wide receiver, and you don't want the 3rd or 4th option on bat. If y'all take nothing away from this one, don't stop investing in the 3rd option, in the 4th passing option of bad offense. It's just a terrible bet. I don't care how much you like the player, right? You're never going to want to throw that guy in your lineup, ever on a bad offense. Like, I love Jalen Hurts, Jay. I think he's awesome for fantasy. I like him. Yeah. I don't want the 3rd receiver. I barely want the 2nd receiving option in that offense. And I love I'm giving away a Devontae Smith thing right here for the patrons, man. Patreon.com/allgas. I got a big Devontae Smith poster here. Love me some Slim Reaper. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'll take him, right? I'll take him. But I want A.J. Brown because that seems to where he's throwing the ball to every single play. So, honestly, man, just be mindful and be careful picking the 3rd option on these teams that aren't going to throw the ball. They're bad offenses, not good quarterbacks. But Romeo Doubs has a great quarterback, and he's going to have some opportunity because, they lost the best wide receiver in football, Devontae Adams. Now, the interesting thing about it's Dobbs, too. It's not Dubs. It's Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs. Jay, you remember when I was at the Senior Bowl and I met Romeo Dobbs, and I was like, man, this dude, hands are big, good kid, seems like a hard worker. He was focused, like the same demeanor that he's showing right now at Packers camp when they interview. Same kid that I talked to at the Senior Bowl. Now, he did not look good at the Senior Bowl, Jay. I would argue to say he's one of the worst receivers there. Cody Carpentier and he DM'd me and said, hey, this ain't the same Romeo Dobbs, right? He DM'd me this. Cody DM'd me. I'm like, yeah, this ain't the same guy, because he was getting jammed up every play at the Senior Bowl. Where you at with him, man? I'm still kind of like, Allen Lazard. It's still going to be Allen Lazard for me. I have not fully, jumped off the deep end into the Dobbs, pool. Where are you at with him this year? I still don't. I'm still not there yet, but I'm encouraged because this is a lot better than what he demonstrated at the Senior Bowl. And I've got videos in my phone that they had to stop drills. Like, stop. That is the worst thing that can happen in football, basketball, when they got to stop a drill so you can redo it a couple of times. That was happening every other rep. But he's gotten into the NFL, and he seems like he's kind of fixed those issues. Where are you at, Romeo Dobbs?
I'm pretty much out on both rookie wide receivers for the Packers this season. I just don't expect a whole lot from them. I think if it's going to be anybody, it'll be Christian Watson. Again, it just comes down to is that Aaron Rodgers doesn't like to throw to rookies. Never has, probably never will. Christian Watson's injured. Romeo Dobbs is looking great, but he's pegged to be the backup to Allen Lazard right now. Again, we've seen them bring in a lot of rookie wide receivers before, and they don't get a ton of work. So I don't think that we're going to see a ton of action. I don't think he'll be overly impactful. He might, make a few plays here or there. Maybe he's in a red zone package. But from a volume perspective, I just don't think it's going to be there for Dobbs this season. I think that's what people need to be aware of, is that, as much as he looks good in practice, when the lights are shining, we know that Aaron Rodgers.
The lights are shining really directly in my eyes right now. I cannot see. The lights are bright, but continue.
Blinded by the light. But yeah, I'm out on both receivers. I just don't think they're going to make much of an impact this season. And again, it just comes down to this is the bet that I'm making. If you think that Romeo Dobbs can be a great wide receiver in the NFL, I'm with you. I don't believe that he's necessarily a bust. But again, if someone's going to give me a second round pick for him, someone's going to give me a second round pick for him, I'm going to take it. That's just the truth. Yes. I'm going to take it, right? I'm not willing to wait to find out what he could be. He didn't get the draft capital. Like you said, he didn't look good at the Senior Bowl. He's running a lot of flies, which is great in practice, but he is in the game, and obviously
he's running a lot of 9 routes. He is running a lot of 9 routes.
Right? He's running a lot of that a lot. And he wasn't that good for about 4 years. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think I would still bet on Christian Watson, who's just as the backup to Sammy Watkins right now. But I think it'll be.
I don't want either.
I don't want, for this year, I don't want him. But I think for the future, we'll see what happens with those guys.
I do want Jalen Tolbert, though, Jay. I do want Jalen Tolbert.
Yes.
Opportunity. James Washington hurt. Michael Gallup not ready. Good quarterback, good offense. CeeDee Lamb is the one. You don't have to throw him in there to be the guy. I'm here for Jalen Tolbert. I am here for Jalen Tolbert. Draft capital was there. Senior Bowl, unlike Romeo Dobbs, he was impressive. You see him pulling away, and that's Jordan Lewis. This is Dallas starting defense here. Is Micah Parsons down the field looking good? Where are you at with Jalen Tolbert this year?
I'm actually right there with you. I think that he potentially could be even a top 10 impact rookie this season, because it's very rare a guy can walk into an offense as talented as Dallas's offense and be the potential wide receiver too, opposite of CeeDee Lamb. We know the coverage that CeeDee Lamb is going to demand, and if Jalen Tolbert can't get open and play well, he may see a lot of action. We saw what happened with Michael Gallup when he came into the NFL. He was a slightly higher draft pick, but at the end of the day, he was seeing single coverage a lot. He could get downfield, and Dak was willing to trust him. I think that's important to remember, because when it was Amari Cooper and he was in that CeeDee Lamb role that CeeDee's in right now, we saw a lot of Gallup. He got a lot of targets, and I believe he saw almost 100 targets in that season. I think we can see a similar role for Jalen Tolbert. And while he's not going to be the number 2 receiving option because Dalton Schultz is still there, I think he could be the 3rd option and, potentially the 4th down the road when Michael Gallup does come back, or if James Washington comes back. But for me, I think that especially early on, if there's a guy that you want to place a bet on early to get action and get work, Jalen Tolbert could be one of the top guys, because it's so rare that you have a rookie coming in and starting at wide receiver. And if he does that, and if he looks good and he has Dak's trust, he could see a lot of work early, and that would really boost up his value this season.
Somebody asked me, was I concerned about Trayvon Diggs? Nah, man, he's going to get burnt, but he's going to make his plays. I mean, that's just what Diggs is. I mean, he's a gamble corner. It paid off for us at times, and it burnt us at times, but I'm not. He's going to be who he is. I'm with you, man. If Jalen Tolbert if we redid rookie drafts right now, do you think there's a chance Tolbert can sneak into the back of the first round, Jay, of rookie drafts? You don't think so?
I don't think the back of the first. I think, you can maybe make the case for early second, because the thing is that, and I will say this to the people because we never really addressed it, is that there will be running backs that are relevant, right? And people will still draft them high in rookie drafts, but we don't know which one it's going to be. So it's difficult to kind of talk about them and rank them. You talked about Dameon Pierce, Tyler Algier listed as third running back. We didn't even talk about Kenneth Walker. We don't know when he's going to start. We don't know the impact he's going to have. It's difficult to do these things. But with these receivers, it seems like there's a much clearer path. Back of the first, maybe. I think early second is reasonable, because I still think people would take Zeus White. They take Rashad White, guys who are on good offenses in potentially having roles over at Jalen Tolbert. But I think there's a real world that he does get much higher draft capital than he was getting in the offseason.
All right. So one of the players that people keep talking about, and I think he's a great player, but I don't trust the offense. And it's Wandale Robinson, man. Like, how can you where are you at enthusiasm-wise with him? And be quick, man. I just can't buy in to Daniel Jones, to Kadarius Toney. People are pumping up Daniel Bellinger, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay. If he's just going to be used as this gadget guy, and I don't think he is. I think he can play a full-time slot role, not a gadget role. But where are you at with this offense? Because this we're talking impact, not how much we like the prospect profile, not how much we like the player. Impact. What kind of impact do you think he's going to? I think the impact that he's going to have, special teams, he'll have his plays. But we sit here and, again, I take Zach Wilson 10 out of 10 times over Daniel Jones. 10 out of 10 times. So if I went on this rant about the Jets offense, my God, the only thing I truly want from the Giants is Saquon Barkley. Like, truly. Like, just that's a guy that I want. After that, I can miss on everybody else in that offense, and I'll be fine. Long term, they're probably drafting a quarterback early next year, because I don't believe the Giants will be good, so things could get better for him. And I'm just throwing it in the universe. You pair him with his old college quarterback, Will Levis. We could have something, right? But impact this year, where are you at with Wandale?
I'm kind of with you and kind of against you. The main reason why is because right now Sterling Shepard's on the PUP list, and he's operating as a starting slot. They're running a lot of 11 personnel. They did that at their scrimmage game over the weekend, or maybe it's during the week. So that's where the encouragement comes from, is that, yes, Wandale has looked good in practice, and that's great. Yes, of course, he has Danny Dimes as his quarterback, but we want guys to at least be on the field, and it's looking like Wandale's going to be on the field. So if he's the starting slot, I think there's a real world where he does have an impact. But to your point, it may not be as big of an impact as it would be for a better offense. So I'm probably somewhere in the middle. Is he going to see more than, 80 opportunities this season? Probably not. But could they be really high impact plays? Potentially. And I think it's going to come down to is that how many touchdowns does he score? Because I don't think the volume necessarily be there, but he could have a role, in those short areas where he uses his quickness, uses his ability to get open to score touchdowns. But again, I'm just saying, I don't know. And I think that's the problem with the offense, is that they are running a lot of 11 personnel, and that's great. We've seen what the slot has meant to Josh Allen, over 100 targets each of the last 3 seasons with Brian Daboll. Is that going to be, Wandale's role? Probably not. But again, I think there's a world where he does have an impact for sure.
All right. I'm ready to piss off all the Dynasty gamers in the whole community and you ageist. I'm ready to piss you off, but I stand by it. I stand by it. You're talking about impact this season. I'm not talking 5 years from now when he's 36 years old. I'm talking about this season. And I think one of the more impactful rookie wide receivers, not name the big guys, not Drake London, not Treylon Burks, I think it's out of Chicago, Jay. And I'm going to throw Velus Jones out there. Velus Jones has the speed, and he's been doing this all camp. We're just going to talk football here. All camp, he's running with the ones. He's outside with Darnell Mooney, and he's fast as shit, man. He's fast as against Kyler Gordon, their top pick in the draft. Every report out of Chicago is he's been good. Anybody that wants in on this, anybody, look at this. Bring on the booze. Bring them on. Bring them on. Bring them on. Bring all the booze on. I don't care. I kicked Jay off the screen. This is all me. Bring them on. All of y'all out there, bring on the booze. But Velus Jones at the end of this season, I'm not telling you he's a long-term asset that you need to build your future around. But, man, who else can they throw to? Who else can they throw to? Who else, Jay? Mooney and Velus Jones. That is it. That is it.
Well, Cole Kmet, right? They have Cole Kmet, and I think Byron Pringle will come back and have a role. Like, it's, again, what the case I will make for you is that Justin Fields did throw the ball deep a lot. I believe it was like 12% last season, especially in the back half of the year. He was throwing the ball deep a lot. A lot of it was to Mooney. But again, there could be a world where he does get a lot of work. Now, to your point, we'll see what happens with the depth chart. We're still kind of waiting for that to ultimately play out. But Equanimeous St. Brown is listed as the starter opposite of Darnell Mooney, with Velus Jones being Darnell Mooney's direct backup, which I think, to your point, he does have a great comp as far as a skill set to be Darnell Mooney's replacement in the offense. But as far as actual production on the field, it just comes down to is how much work does he get early. I think there's a world where he does, but we'll have to see how it really shakes out because, again, I'm not projecting him to be the starter, but he's going to have to get some work. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I'm not as in as you are on Velus Jones.
I'm not overweight. I'm not telling people.
Is he in the top 10?
Yes. For impact? Yes. He probably at the bottom. He's starting, man. Who else?
He might start.
Honestly, I'm just,
ESB
who else?
and Mooney are the starters right now. So far. Again, it's early, so depth charts aren't finalized. But that's Equanimeous St. Brown. That, again, a guy who's been in the league. You know, I'm not trying to say that he should be the starter. But
thank you, Pete. Thank you, Pete. He will be on the field week 1 on an offense that they're probably going to have
the field, but it doesn't mean that he's going to do much of anything.
All right, y'all are right. Everybody talking about grandpa. Like he's still like no one's saying long term. Like the first of all, there's a big fallacy in the dynasty space that you have these guys for your careers. That's the biggest problem. Because here's the thing. If any of y'all have played in a dynasty league for more than 3 years, I challenge you to look at your roster today to what it looked like from what it looked like 3 years ago. You probably don't have any of the same players on your team. And if you do, you're probably terrible at dynasty fantasy football. I'm talking about impact, right? This season, I don't care about how old he'll be in 5 years. I'm talking about this year, next year. Can he give me a spike to where I can get out and sell him for a second? People are buying Romeo Dubs for seconds, man. Seconds. First round picks. Give me Isaiah Pacheco. I'll give you a second. And you're telling me that all he's got to do is catch 2 deep passes. 2 deep passes. And here's the thing. People are shitting on Chicago's offense from pillar to post. People are still, I don't know about Mooney. I don't know about Kmet. I don't know about Montgomery. But let's pump up Tristan Abner. Yay, Tristan Abner. And Velus Jones has no shot? Get the hell out of here, Jay. I'm not buying it, dog. I'm not buying it.
No
Let's
shot.
talk football.
Again, I'm talking range of outcomes in a bad offense, projected as one of the worst offenses.
Horrible. And what did I say? I want the 1 or the 2. Giants. 1 or the 2. 1 or the 2.
Ray, we talked about this already. You actually mentioned it. There's offenses where they can only support 1 wide receiver. And we both know that Chicago is one of those offenses. That's just the reality, right? The reality is they can only support 1.
This is the edge in Dynasty. The sentiment that everybody, ew, I don't want him. You see, nobody has said a damn thing about what he can do on the field. Nobody. Everybody just keeps saying, he's old, he's old, he's old. I don't care. He's free. And he's probably going to be a starting wide receiver on an offense that might be playing from behind, that has to throw the ball.
Might be playing from behind.
And here's the thing. We're talking about Justin Fields can take this step forward. You think Darnell Mooney's catching 150 balls for 1,800? You think Cole Kmet's going for 1,000 this year? Who else? That's the edge. It's exploiting the sentiment of groupthink. Ew, Velus Jones. I'm not even the biggest Velus Jones fan. But if you're telling me a guy that can run a 4.3 is going to be on the field and he's going downfield, give me, for free, sign me up. Talking about impact. Give me your top 10, Jay. Get out of here.
Ooh,
give me your impact.
Man, the top 10. So
I know you haven't written anything down over there. I'm watching you. You've done nothing. Give me your top 5.
About a lot of players, right? My top 5, it starts with Breece, London, and then Burks. I think that London's going to outscore Burks. I believe in what he's going to do a little bit more than Burks, but I think Burks is great. Behind him, though, I would, man, I really want to put Dotson.
Give me five.
I want to put
top
Dotson
five
behind him, right?
We didn't
even talk about Dotson.
Well,
because Dotson's going to be the starting wide receiver for the Commanders.
Yes.
But again, it's people need to understand that he's walking into an 80 target role. Easy, right? And again, you drafted him in the first round, but nobody wanted him, right? He's first round wide receiver. No one wants him. No one's drafting him. People are fading him completely. People remember that Dotson's going to be the starting wide receiver for the Commanders this season. After that, though, there's Olave, there's all these guys. I think at that point you have to say it's going to be a running back. Which running back is going to be? I don't know. People are talking about Zamir White. He looks great in the preseason game. He could easily carve out a role. He could be great. We didn't even talk about James Cook. People think it's so obvious James Cook's going to be good. He still deserves to be in this list. He's a top 5 player.
Impact.
He could easily have a top 5 impact.
Is he going to have that impact this year?
I think so. Okay. I haven't pegged for.
Well, give me 5. And no, you can't use Breece. Give me 5 of the not so obvious guys. No Dotson, no Burks, no London, no Breece Hall, no Jahan Dotson. Like, give me some. No, just give me your impact. 5. Give me 5.
So Jalen Tolbert would have to be number 1. I got you. No one's really talking about.
Yep.
I think that Tolbert has to be up there.
All right.
No one's really talking about Dotson, but if you're not going to give him to me, then I'd have to go another direction. I'd probably go Alec Pierce, number 2. I think Alec Pierce is a guy who's going to see a lot of work. The guy that I was telling you about earlier that I'm very interested in from a dynasty perspective is David Bell. David Bell is listed as the starting slot for Cleveland, but again, he has Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and so he's not going to do a ton there. After that, I still think Isaiah Spiller is going to be the RB2, and I think that's something that people aren't really there with yet. But we'll see. If you want to put Velus Jones at 5, I'll give it to you. And I think that Tyler Algier will have a role this season. I don't know how much of a role. People talking about Tyquan Thornton. I don't want to get into Tyquan Thornton because I think he's going to be great. But no one wants to talk about Tyquan Thornton, 2nd round pick for the Patriots. I think he could have a massive impact too. It's just I'm curious how Bill ultimately uses him, in my opinion. So where are you at with these guys? Another guy I've talked about on the show a lot is Mike Woods. I think people should be picking up Mike Woods off waivers. Mike Woods out of Oklahoma. Take me off the screen. Mike Woods.
Boy.
I'm telling you, man.
Mike Woods. Now you hold on. Wait a minute. You have the audacity to poo-poo me for Velus Jones, and then you're taking the guy who's the 4th option in Oklahoma's passing offense that got beat out by Treylon Burks and Trey Knox at Arkansas, and you're telling people Mike Woods?
I think that Mike Woods could have a role. I don't think it'll be a big role, but I think he could have a role.
All right. Jay, you for 54 minutes you were outstanding.
Do you want my last guy? Do you want my last guy?
Who?
Eric Ezukanma. I don't even know how to say his last name. He is Jalen Waddle's backup in Miami. 4th round pick.
He's muted. I muted Jay. I muted him. I muted Jay. We are over. He's walking off the set. We've muted him. I love you, Jay Rich, but you are done. You are done. He is done. He is finished. We will try again on Wednesday. Listen, I don't know. I don't have a top 5. That was my partner, my co-host role. He did not give you the top 10 that we promised, but we did talk through a bunch of rookies. He gave you some deep sleeper names. We gave you some old names in the Velus Jones. My big takeaway is, temper expectations for all these rookies. I love me some Spiller. I think absent a injury to Austin Eckler is probably not going to happen. I know we didn't talk Rachaad White. He kind of factors into the like we kind of know that already, guys. But that's the show. I hope you guys appreciated it. Jay, you're back. I love you, man. You got anything to say to the people before we get out of here?
I hope you guys have a great day. I had a good day. I had a lot of fun today. What I will say to people is that we listed a lot of names, and these are the guys you want to watch in preseason. Preseason this week, get excited, and I think there's going to be a lot of things that happen this week, and hopefully we see some more information, and we can talk about this stuff throughout the year, because I think it's going to be exciting, and we'll find some good nuggets throughout the preseason that we can use to our advantage like we did last season. So pay attention. We'll stay tapped in for y'all, and hope you guys had some fun today.
Got two super chats. Got to get out of here. Got 2 of them. Are there any rookie draft selections or passovers, QBs not included, that you personally regret already? Man, this is a good one. Who do I regret passing on in rookie drafts?
I think for me, it's J-Mo. I don't think I drafted J-Mo even once.
I don't have a lot of J-Mo either. I don't have a lot of J-Mo.
Don't have a lot of draft picks, but J-Mo was one. The thing is for people, and I don't want to sound arrogant, but like my draft strategy this year was to trade down for Jahad Dotson. Yeah. That's what I did in a lot of drafts. But maybe in the second round, maybe TDP. Maybe I was a little bit overzealous on TDP. I have a lot of TDP too.
Okay.
I was drafting
you regret TDP? I wouldn't regret TDP.
I don't regret it, but I'm like,
don't regret
is that smart? So again,
for me, it's Alec Pierce. I wish I would have gotten a little more Alec Pierce.
Didn't take any Alec Pierce either.
Thinking about the Colts, I think I allowed. It's just Jonathan Taylor, and they already have a wide receiver one. I like what we're hearing out of Doolin and Paris Campbell, but they didn't spend a second round pick on the size, speed specimen not to utilize him. I wish I had a little more Alec Pierce. And I wish I had a little more George Pickens, man. Pickens was in that weird spot where he was like right around the Rashad White, Chris Olave early in rookie drafts, and I opted for the running back, right? I was like, I'm taking the running back here instead of the receiver. Wish I had a little more Pickens. I think the biggest regret that I have is drafting Kenny Pickett inside the top 5 of Superflex. Like I only have one, and I still regret it. The quarterbacks in general, right? I know you said notwithstanding, just all of them. I just highly regret all of those selections. All right, we had another one right here. Let's get to it. Why are we hyping up Dameon Pierce, Pacheco, if the 2023 running back? That's the thing, right? Like, they can have impacts this year, man. And there are two things that are true here. One, we can still hype them up knowing that the 2023 class is going to be good because this is the season that's in front of us, right? These guys are going to get an opportunity to play this year. And if you are smart enough, and let me not use the word smart, if you've got the resolve to say, when Pierce or Pacheco does anything of consequence, I'm trading this guy, right?
Yeah.
If you get an offer, and it will happen, people, it happens every freaking year. If somebody comes to your inbox after week 1 and Isaiah Pacheco had 5 carries, 62 yards, 3 receptions and a touchdown, and they say, I'll give you a first-round pick for your Isaiah Pacheco, don't be stubborn. Don't be ridiculous. Trade him. Just get a more liquid asset. Punt for, I don't care if it's the 112 in 2023. You make that move 10 out of 10 times. And the problem is a lot of people just don't have the resolve to do it, man. They just don't have the balls to say, because you're looking at it, human nature, like, damn, man. Pierce went out here and got 22 carries. He's the workhorse. This dude's going to help me win. But knowing, like, man, Algier was a 5th rounder. Pacheco was a, 7th rounder. Pierce was a 4th rounder. They may just get replaced next year. I would cash out. And I think a lot of people just have to do that. So I think we answered all the super chat questions. All right, cool. Subscribe to the All Gas newsletter in the link in the description. We'll be back on Wednesday. Wednesday is our final show of the week because I will be in Canton, Ohio this Friday for the Fantasy Football Expo. If you're going to be there, would love to meet you. Come say what's up. We're going to be there having fun, and we've got a flag football game, so just pray for old GQ that we make it out of that thing unscathed. I hope y'all have a great start to the week. Enjoy it. Make today great, and make sure y'all wake up with us on Wednesday morning. We are out of this thing. Peace out.